Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking it back to basics, and I'm going to be responding to some of your unpopular K-pop opinions / confessions. If you didn't see, about a week ago I made a community post with a Google form where you could submit your unpopular opinions, and I got around 800 submissions, which I was not expecting, so thank you all so much for participating. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to go over all of them in this video, so I just picked about like 6 or 7 that I thought stood out. And in each section of this video, I'll be reading out the submission and responding to it with like a minute or two of commentary. Sorry if your submission wasn't picked for this video, but I am considering going over basically all of them in a live stream or something, so if you're interested in that, let me know in the comment section down below. But yeah, I mean, I don't really need to explain anything else for the intro, so without further ado, let's just jump into the first submission. I'm disappointed that Kep1er is staying together. I love the girls and I really do enjoy their music, but I was looking forward to them getting a fresh start. So if any of you don't know what this person is talking about, basically the group Kep1er, which was formed by the Mnet survival show Girls Planet, have just announced that 7 out of the 9 members will be continuing group activities after the group's original contract expiration date. However, 2 of the members, Yeseo and Mashiro, will be departing once the group's original contract expiration date hits and will be returning to their company 143 Entertainment. So I can definitely understand why someone would say this. Like, I feel like with past survival show groups, especially like ITZY, seeing the members venture off into different careers post-disbandment was honestly more exciting than seeing ITZY promote while the group was still around, at least for me. But I don't really think I would have felt the same about Kep1er if they disbanded, so I disagree with this opinion. I mean, one of the reasons why ITZY and to a certain extent the IOI and 101 legacy is still so strong today is because acts like Yves, Chungha, Somi, LE SSERAFIM, Kang Daniel, Ish, and more are still active and very relevant in modern K-pop. Because the produce groups were so wildly successful and influential, the reputations from these groups were able to launch their post-disbandment careers into the limelight. And I couldn't really see this happening with Kep1er, unfortunately. Though Kep1er have a pretty great discography and are not unsuccessful by any means, their popularity doesn't compare to that of any of the produce groups, not even close. When it comes to fanbase size and general public recognition, I don't think Kep1er is stable enough to guarantee that the members would have successful careers if they disbanded when they were originally supposed to. For instance, Kep1er's only song to chart on Circle's top 200 was Wadada, peaking at number 75. Meanwhile, ITZY's top charting song hit number 3, IOI and 101 have number 1 hits, and X1, who were active for less than a year, peaked at number 26 with their debut. Personally, I would much rather Kep1er stay together and continue to promote as a mid-tier girl group than have the members go their separate ways and divide the fanbase, which would probably kill all of their careers. Because of this, I'm pretty scared to see what happens with Mashiro and Yeseo when they go back to their company and probably join their company's girl group Limelight, because that group has had 0 songs hit the Circle top 200. I mean, I'm hopeful, and I think Yeseo and Mashiro could give them a pretty decent boost, but I'm still tentative. Realistically, I think if Kep1er as a whole disbanded, that the members would probably go their separate ways and debut in lower tier girl groups that have low budget music videos and promotions, which is even less than they have now. I don't know, maybe their company will try harder now that Kep1er has some added longevity, because I know they're not promoted and prioritized very well by their company, but I do think it could be a lot worse. And that's why I have to say that I'm glad that Kep1er's staying together. Alcohol-based variety shows need to stop. I know it's wholesome seeing your idols drunk and carefree, but it doesn't sit well with me that Korea is so lax with alcohol, but will persecute someone to if they suspect that person of smoking weed. So originally I had a lot more commentary in my script that I was gonna include in this video, but I am slightly worried about coming across insensitive or just inappropriate on this channel, so I'm just gonna include a section I had at the end of my script that kind of summarizes all of my main points without possibly being offensive to anybody. So here's what I have to say. As we all know, the entertainment industry is one of the most exploitative and abusive industries in existence, especially when it comes to struggling artists. Therefore, shows like this could create a problematic power dynamic that could leave a lot of artists in a vulnerable position, which is only intensified with the addition of alcohol into the equation. For example, a struggling artist could appear on a show like this because they're really desperate for promotions, but they might not even be comfortable with drinking. And when someone doesn't want to drink or doesn't have a lot of experience drinking and does it anyway, they put themselves at risk, especially if they're not in a safe environment. And as we all know, the entertainment industry is not a safe environment. Because of this, I do sort of agree with the opinion that alcohol-based variety shows should stop, because they're so hard to regulate, but I slightly disagree with the reasoning used in this submission. This is a pretty complex one though, so I definitely will do my best to be understanding of everybody's opinions. I know that had more of a serious tone, but I did think it was important to include, but anyways, let's just move on to the next submission. I don't know if it counts, but I'm getting really tired of K-pop stans thinking that grown women are like 19 and they're old once they turn 24. Like, this is the exact reason why companies debut 16-year-olds. Y'all stay saying that 23-year-olds are too old to debut, okay, honestly, I have to say I've been guilty of doing this, and I actually agree with OP's opinion either way. Specifically with groups like Kiss of Life, Aespa, I-DLE, and Riize, if we include boy groups, who are all above the age of 18 when they debuted, I think it's important to remember that there isn't some huge mental shift that people go through the day they go from being 17 to being 18. It's different with Aespa and I-DLE now because they've all grown by a few years since they debuted, but for example, Kiss of Life's maknae Hanul is only 19, and that basically means she's still a kid, at least in my eyes. So it would be weird to me if their company started giving Kiss of Life overly sexual concepts for their music videos. My perspective on this has definitely changed over the years because I was freshly 18 when I first got into K-pop, and before, I thought it wasn't that weird if freshly 18-year-olds were given a quote-unquote sexy image through branding and such. But now, I understand why it's not okay for young adults to be promoted with sex appeal, because especially before their brains finish developing around age 25, if you validate someone's worth based on how sexually appealing they are to complete strangers, they're probably gonna grow up to be very broken adults. Now, of course, even with fully mature adults, it's not good to reduce them to their physical appearance, especially if that's not what they're trying to be known for. But it's even more important to respect this with young people. I've seen people criticize this Twitter account that basically just posts female K-pop idols being attractive for posting all of the Kiss of Life members except Hanul on their page, but I think it's good that the people running this account are going out of their way to avoid posting idols who just became adults, and I hope they stick to that. I also saw that OP kind of implied that when we support all of these younger idols and only support younger idols, it kind of makes it so that older idols have harder times debuting because they're not seen as profitable, at least to their company's eyes, and I definitely agree with that sentiment. For example, and all of this information that I'm about to say is just from rumors, so take it all with a grain of salt, I've heard that Baby Monster's original lineup originally had way older members, and by way older, I basically just mean people in their early 20s, and before they were set to debut, YG Entertainment kicked all of those original members out and replaced them with much younger girls, which is why the youngest member was born in 2009 and the oldest member was born in 2002. I don't know if that's true in this specific case, that's all just alleged, but I guarantee that similar situations happen all the time in the K-pop industry. And honestly, I don't really know how to fix it. I don't know if there's too much that we can do as fans, at least on an individual level, but I know on a large scale, we all just need to start supporting idols who are older and stop supporting groups that have like 13-year-olds in them. And maybe if we start doing that, then we'll see some real change, but you'll have to put in the work first, okay? Anyways, let's move on to the next submission. I'd convert to heterosexuality for Kim Mingyu. I'm assuming that they're talking about Mingyu from 17, and you know what? I can't even blame you. As a person of the, let's just say, homosexual persuasion, I feel pretty similarly about Doyeon from Weki, so who am I to say that's crazy? Still, that's crazy. I genuinely don't care about any scandals. I don't care what an idol or group did or how quote-unquote bad it was. I will continue to listen to their music if I like it. For me, K-pop really isn't that deep, and I'm just here for some good music. I think this opinion is more popular than people would first assume, but I think there's more complexity to my take on this than usual. See, I'm also a person who doesn't really care about quote-unquote scandals when it comes to groups I like. Like, some of my favorite groups are Riize, Kiss of Life, Aespa, 50/50, etc., who have all had their fair deal of controversy and whatever. So I'm no stranger to quote-unquote problematic groups. But I think what's important to consider when choosing who to and not to stan is repeat offenses. Also, just a disclaimer, this is not me saying that I'm able to accept apologies. Like, for an example, if an idol says the N-word, then I'm not saying that I'm gonna accept or not accept that apology because I can't. because I'm not black. But when a situation like that occurs, I can still choose whether or not I want to support that group based on the context. I'm not going to talk about specific examples of groups or idols being problematic, but generally, I'm a kind of person who can deal with at least one problematic action from an artist, but if they continue to repeat this behavior after being called out for it, or even worse, apologizing for it, then it can kind of be safe to assume that that artist does not care. However, if it's an isolated instance and it never happens again, then sure, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I think K-pop stans as a whole should stop bringing up single instances of controversy if they were properly addressed and never repeated, because when you keep bringing it up, it takes attention away from artists who continue to be problematic time and time again. I feel like K-pop stans will never let go of anything, and because of that, people think that like Aespa, for example, are one of the most problematic groups in the industry, when that's really just not true. It's all about people trying to spread misinformation in order to make their favorite group seem better, which is not what K-pop fan spaces should be about. You know, crazies are always trying to spread an agenda, which makes me sound like a boomer, but in the world of K-pop and entertainment in general, it really is true, and I think more K-pop stans should be aware of that. This K-pop Y2K trend is only focusing on 3 things: soft aesthetics, laid-back tracks, and that new jeans vibe, when real Y2K was crazy as artists in the Y2K era that defined the genre perfectly would be Black Eyed Peas, Pitbull, Daft Punk, LMFAO, David Guetta, Kesha, Flo Rida, and Green Day. I definitely agree with everything that OP said in their submission, and what stood out most to me and what made me think the most is when I realized that I would love to see some more obvious Black Eyed Peas influence in K-pop. The only obvious example of that I can think of right now is XXL by Young Posse, but considering the recent controversy regarding the company's practices and the young ages of the members, yeah, I won't be streaming. No, but seriously, I do think this person's right, and I agree that we are long overdue for an expansion on the Y2K aesthetic in K-pop. I think Aespa with Supernova and Armageddon are definitely serving a K-pop take on EDM sounds introduced by, say, Kesha, but I would love to see more. Now, I've been saying that we need more Y2K EDM and pop a la Lady Gaga, Kesha, Rihanna, Britney, Daft Punk, etc. since literally 2022, and I still stand by that. And we're getting there, sorta, but I think we could go further, and plus, K-pop groups, are they even really doing it right? Because listen, I love Midas Touch by Kiss of Life. I really do, but none of Britney Spears' iconic hits were less than 3 minutes long. Most were closer to 3.5 or even 4 because their choruses were long. For example, Midas Touch has a chorus that's 16 seconds long, and Toxic by Britney Spears has a 27-second long chorus, and the final chorus is 40 seconds long. Besides just really good melodies and writing, there's a reason that everybody remembers all of these iconic hits from the 2000s because there was just so much material in each song. And I think K-pop needs to quit the 2 minutes and 30-second tracks because songs like this lack longevity. So in conclusion, we need to expand what the Y2K influence in K-pop looks like, not only in sound, but in song length too. The K-pop industry has brainwashed me, and if an idol is not skinny/fit, I don't find them pretty. I know thinking like that is wrong, but I have reached a point where the thought is automatic and I feel bad. I don't think this is really an unpopular opinion, but I think it's rare and therefore unpopular for someone to actually admit this, even anonymously. This submission really stuck out to me because this person seems to be pretty aware of their own problems and biases, and I think being able to acknowledge your faults is commendable, especially in a fandom as toxic as K-pop. It's no surprise to anybody that the K-pop industry prioritizes skinnier and more athletic-looking K-pop idols, and shames idols who are even at healthy weights for being quote-unquote fat. Therefore, it's up to us as individuals consuming this content to create a mental barrier so that we don't create these biases ourselves. But, as we all know, most K-pop stans do not try to do this, or at least don't successfully do it. I wanted to include this entry to serve as an example that it's okay to admit that K-pop has fed into fat phobia or colorism or anything along those lines for you, but it's also possible to stop these thoughts. A personal strategy I like to use anytime I come across an issue like this is to do some introspective reflection, which basically just means questioning why you feel a certain way about something. For example, if you see a K-pop idol and your immediate thought was that they were unattractive, ask yourself, why do you feel that way? Is it because of their weight? Why do you not like their weight? Does this come from inside of you, or is there an outside force like the K-pop industry affecting your beliefs? Is it fair to judge this person for their weight? Obviously, the answer to that last question is no, but just having conversations like this with yourself can really lead to a lot of personal growth. And even if I made it sound crazy, I really hope you guys try it because it's genuinely a great way to try and get rid of any prejudices you have. Maybe even some you don't realize you have. I personally would like to say that I used to have a lot more prejudice in my heart, more than I even realized, and introspective reflection helped me start to address them. So maybe it could help y'all too. Of course, this is just me being philosophical and soapboxing, so you don't have to take my advice if you don't want to. But yeah, I think that just about concludes the commentary section of this video. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any opinions on any of my opinions in the comment section down below. And I really cannot wait to start making some more content for you guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Also, make sure you go check the pinned comment because I'm probably going to be deciding on when I'm going to do a live stream reviewing more of the submissions that you guys put. So that announcement will be in the pinned comment. So go check that out, guys. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.